What's something that teens think is cool but really isn't? That guy who graduated a couple years ago but still hangs out at the after school spot and buys the cigs and alcohol for everyone, so you keep him around. The one who has dozens of stories that are wild and exciting, but has no friends his age to back him up. Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused. Being a dick to people. I'm a teen. Can confirm. But it depends. Being sarcastic all the damn time. 13-year-old me lived and breathed that sarcasm is the greatest form of wit meme. I was such a little shit when I was on Tinder. It seemed like every other profile included the line fluent in sarcasm, and it got so cliche. I started judging these people as unoriginal and uninteresting. Thankfully I'm not on Tinder anymore. I just saw that on another dating app in the last weeks. I hope you get sarcasm. Otherwise we won't get along. Yeah, I guess that means you're going to insult me, and I have to be cool with it because it sassy as m. No thanks. Destroying things. A cemetery in my town, with headstones dating back to the 1600s, had to stop access to the grounds. We used to take walks on the paths looking at the headstones because teenagers were coming in at night and smashing up the headstones. I've seen a few other examples, destroying gardens, statues, decorations people have put in their yards, etc. Get a life. Jane Goodall observed this behavior in immature male chimps. They would break branches and stuff for no reason. The smaller their genitals, the more destructive they were. Being disrespectful to teachers. I see this a lot. When I went to prom, some guy's date wasn't being allowed in cause they found a bottle of vodka in her purse. So he runs through security anyways and flips a table. The female teacher working at that table was bawling her eyes out. The girl I took is just awestruck and going off about good for him for not taking that, and that was the moment I left that table to go and hang out with my friends. Cycling around with loudspeakers on their bike so everyone can enjoy their music. I have experienced that, but with people going into a bus, I mean, come on. Spock handled that pretty well I hear, and everyone on the bus applauded him, too. Driving drunk. Related, getting plastered every weekend. That's just not healthy, but that's nothing to do with teens. Lot of adults do that too. The difference is that a lot of adults do realize that it's not healthy, but just can't stop themselves. And teens just don't realize how unhealthy it is on the long term. They don't do it cause it's cool, but because they connect with their friends and stuff. For the memories. If they don't black out lol. Teens definitely brag about how smashed they got, how they threw up a bunch and passed out. For sure they do. Don't need to tell me about that. It's just that it's not mainly BC it's cool or anything but BC the experiences they lived. I'm an old man now who takes his young son to the scatter park where I expect to find punks and druggies and other assorted teens who just wanna be cool. Cause frankly that's how it was when I was a kid. While that's still what you see on the surface, the truth is, it's really just a bunch of good kids trying to figure life out at one of the most confusing times. And if you watch them, they mostly are just kind to one another. You kids gonna be alright. Close bracket. The punks come out after 8 or 9 PM and trash/graffiti the skate parks. As a parks and recreation manager, the skate parks are our biggest pains. But it's the kids that come out at night that ruin it. Occasionally we get an asshole during the day, but usually the good kids put the idiots in their place. Spending your entire life at the behest of social media and the internet in general. Also, despite what you believe or how much they cost, your trainers look like shit. Sounds like you need some new shoes lol. Faking depression, anxiety, etc. Trust me, you don't wanna have that. Yes, definitely. There are so many teens out there being one-ape damaged and depressed. Yes, sadly, true. Vaping and smoking and all of that. Like I'm 18 and it just annoys me when people my age make it their personality or try to brag about it. We were so close to getting rid of teenage nicotine addiction throughout society. But Joel just had to market to teens. Yeah. I remember everyone in my school was like you'd never smoke. Do you know what that does to you then? Like a year later they're all nicotine addicts. Ostracizing, teasing, bullying, or marginalizing other kids because they are different. Sadly, many don't grow out of this when they become adults. I regret being pretty mean to some kids in high school because they were going through a goth phase or had some weird quirk. It's hard to have empathy at 14. Have you ever reached out to them to let them know that you regret your actions? As someone who was bullied relentlessly throughout school and has never once received an apology from a school bully, I bet it would mean a lot to your group. I reached out to a few kids I grew up with. I was never really a bully, even in retrospect. But I was a guy that always took the cafeteria roasting way too far and stuff. Can confirm they at least said it meant a lot to them. Damage to other people's or public property. I get depressed when I think of some of the stupid shit I used to do as a teenager. Smashing people's mailboxes with a baseball bat just because the cool kids were doing it is one of them. Funny thing is, the cool kid I'm thinking of turned out to be the biggest loser in town as an adult. When the cool kid is actually an asshole, everyone starts to realize and move away when they all enter adulthood. Face tattoos. I just don't get it. I'm aware that they are not allowed to get one legally until they turn 18, at least in Europe, but still have seen some. Oh, and being rude. Buying expensive sneakers, clothing with a brand name on it, paying 10 times more for shitty materials with a brand logo than the actual production price. What's worse is they call other people poor for not doing the same. Yeah, even though they're not the ones buying it. This may be a cultural thing, and it may not be prevalent now, but solving problems or issues with violence among teens used to be a pretty rad thing to do. You may look cool and tough by getting into fights, but life ain't Fight Club, mate. Adulthood. Disagree. Being an adult is ducking dope compared to being an HS. I get paid for doing work instead of just getting a letter on a sheet of paper. If I want to get something or go somewhere, I'm not asking my parents to help me out. Wanna drink and smoke until you pass out? Have at it. Wanna order $50 at Chick-fil-A on Uber Eats on a Tuesday? Hell yeah, brother. Feel like taking PTO and flying out to Europe for a few days? Bon voyage MF. Being a teenager is less responsibility day to day, but the freedom of adulthood is pretty sick too. I would say the only thing I miss is seeing all of my really close friends nearly every day in a school environment. People romanticize mental illness and it worries me. Dumbing down your vocabulary. Thou shalt not neuter thine language. TikTok. Having followers, when in real life you won't acknowledge or want those people anywhere near you. Being a nobody is vastly underrated nowadays, and teens should realize that social media isn't the be all and end all. Something that really resonated about what you just said. Being a nobody is vastly underrated nowadays. I completely agree. I'm a teen and the only social media I have is Reddit. I used to have a Tumblr too, and being pretty introverted. I like being disconnected from everything sometimes. Not sure if that's what you meant, but that's how I took it. Being in a gang. Any illegal activity really, but especially in a gang, because you have gang enhancements if you get charged with a crime. Really though, most people in gangs are not like what you hear about in the news or see in movies. A lot of them are just people that hang around, get high, and are testing it out. They are not these hyper-violent individuals that most people think of when they hear gang. Those people that you should worry about are a much smaller number than what's put out there. Taking and sending nudes. Definitely not cool and technically child pornography. Bragging about how little sleep they get. Like, come on man. Alzheimer's isn't cool. You mean insomnia? Not being able to spell. It's not cute. I'm unfortunately like this, if it weren't for autocorrect saving my sweet ass. Smoking. Getting so drunk they pass out, man, I'm so wasted. Slippery slope there folks, I've been there, and it's not cool. Driving their cars really fast and doing burnouts/donuts. Also choosing to do things to their cars that don't make sense. Have them lowered. Bright ugly paint. Big tires that look wrong etc. At least I think they're teens. I assume they are, and they will grow up one day. Exclamation mark. Close bracket. TikTok. Snapchat everything. I live in a pretty nice place with amazing beaches. Some teens and people in general you see at the beach just with their heads in their phones. Selfies and TikTok dancing to a beach backdrop. Put your phone down. Go for a surf or a walk. Just chill for a bit and live a bit. Social media isn't everything. I disagree about the cars. You may not like it, but it is their artistic expression to do what they want to their car. Your statement contradicts every grown person who owns a car and customizes it the way they want. If you think burnouts and donuts are teenagers only, please leave or go to a car show where there's a contest for these events. I don't get people who do a lot of customizations to their cars that make the cars extremely noticeable, then speed, drive recklessly, or otherwise do things that would make you want the cops to not notice you. Undervaluing education. It's the I don't care about school BC and gonna be famous mentality lol. My school it was I'm just going to live in the woods and hunt my own food. The kids who thought they were going to do this all got dead end shit jobs and pumped out kids before they were 20. Didn't quite make it to the woods, did you, Jess? COVID party. Is my 50 years old mum a teen? Drinking. Looking back I'm disappointed in myself. / I'm legal now, and I drank more when I was underage. Killing themselves. Had a female friend in high school kept saying she wanted to die at 27 either by killing herself or having someone do it for her. She was serious as can be too. She really wanted to be in the 27 club and told Denny and everyone. Only 4 more years to go. I have her on FB, so I'll keep an eye out. Age difference relationships. It's not cool that the 23, 24-year-old college graduate is interested in your 16-year-old self. He says I'm mature for my age. No honey, that means he's immature for his. Wearing their hats barely on top of their head, almost hovering above, looks idiotic. Underage drinking. Bringing vodka on an overpass school trip. What if a parent or administration found out about the vodka? Guess who would get punished for it? Not the student but the teacher. Taking education for granted. Mouthing off to teachers. Not doing homework. Bragging that you finished your final essay 30 minutes before the deadline. Acting as though fascination with mathematics, history, linguistics, science, etc. is nurtured. Not paying attention in class because when will we ever use this in the real world? Apostrophe. It's a huge privilege to go to school, and it enriches you. It will improve the rest of your life. But people still act like they are above it all. I remember in high school, lots of kids were complete slacks in class. If the teacher asked them a question, they replied something aloof and sarcastic. They were ultimately selling themselves short because they were too aloof to discover what subjects they liked. They missed out on personality development. That being cool isn't cool. Intentionally talking in a way that's actually not at all how they speak. You're a nerdy white kid from the suburbs. You're not fooling anyone, nor what I'm saying. Carrying knives. Then you grow older and realize how dangerous your city can really be. Then you want to at least carry a knife. Pepper spray is a lot better. It can be used outside of striking distance. And, where I live at least, it's not considered a weapon. So you're risking less trouble with the law for using it. Doing drugs. As a teen I'm surrounded by people who do too many drugs and think it's cool. And if anyone ever tried to help them quit, they'd get angry about it. Doing cringy dancing on TikTok. So being goofy isn't cool? My daughter does the TikTok dances with her friends. They laugh up a storm while doing it and have a blast. Now if they're trying to be serious about it, sure. But just doing it for fun and having fun with them, I think that's a good thing. If it's just a dance it's alright. But people use TikTok to act out cringy scenarios. It's not just being goofy. There are influencers who broadcast all sorts of negative messages. Also, just dancing for the fun of it is great. But not everything needs to be put up on social media. speeding in front of people they know after they just got their license. While I was in high school, after someone just got their license they would speed past the bus stop in the morning. Being popular. I'm currently in the 9th grade and I absolutely hate every single person. And so many times I have been bullied by popular douchebags and I'm currently an outcast. High school is supposed to be the best years of your life, according to my family, but for me it's ducking hell and I'm so close to dropping out and saying duck my life. Choosing socializing over education/grades. It's not worth it. People fade and you're still responsible for your life. It's important to have balance. Completely forgetting about your social life to focus on grades 24/7 isn't healthy either. Saying I love you very early on in the relationship. My friends are dating. Their relationship is one of the weakest I've ever seen. The guy doesn't know how to talk to his girlfriend. They started dating in January and up until March their relationship was very awkward and frankly dysfunctional. Then lockdown started in March. They did not talk much at all during lockdown and literally had nothing between them. They met once in August for about an hour. They met again in September for about an hour. They met in October, where they said I love you to each other. I don't know what they are doing, and I don't think they do either. At this point I'm just waiting for them to break up, because literally nothing good can come out of this. Once they do break up, I will be in a difficult position as both of them are my closest friends. Using mental health conditions as common terms for moodsy. GOMG, you're so annoying. You're giving me PTSD. I have actually heard this said, and it took everything in my power to bite my tongue as I was working retail at the time. As someone who has several extreme mental health conditions including CPTSD, and I find this behavior not only disrespectful but disgusting. Not caring about the future. Like, the future is yours. Make it what you want. Hey PSSST. Please subscribe and like.